Welcome to Multiply Your Why, a Missio podcast. My name is Andrew Spikes, CEO at Missio.
And my name is Alin and Andrew, and I'm the Director of Strategy here at Missio.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk, and we're going to explore
I love it.
The topic that we know a little bit about, and that is outsourcing marketing.
Yep.
Outsourcing your marketing. If you're a business, if you're a faith-driven leader, if you're a church, why do that? And that's who we work with. That's who we help. That's who we talk to every day. And we're going to explore that whole concept, pros and cons, right? That's what we're going to talk about.
Yep. And let's state the elephant in the room is that we are a marketing company.
For sure.
Right? And so people have outsourced their marketing to us.
Yeah.
So naturally, there's going to be a bias on the pros of it because we believe there are a lot of pros. But we're going to talk about both sides. We're going to talk about the pros, and we're going to talk about the cons in it. But we're bringing this conversation to the table mostly because you may not realize that this is a thing.
Yeah.
Like this is a thing. In fact, one of the stats we were just talking about before we started recording this was a survey by Deloitte showed that 59% of their businesses, 59% of businesses have outsourced their marketing to some extent to a marketing company, whether maybe it's their graphic design or their emails or their websites or social media or whatever it is. 59% of businesses, when we talked about that, we were both shocked.
I was shocked. But I think about you and I both, before doing what we're doing, we're leading marketing functions of some type.
Yeah.
And in both cases, we outsourced.
Yes.
Some portion.
Yes.
Like a fraction, a large fraction or a small fraction. But part of it was outsourced. Even though we had the chops and the capacity to probably do it in-house for some reason, we just chose to not.
That's really interesting. I did not think about that at all. Is that when we were in our professional pre-marketing company Missio days, when we were in our professional arenas, we did both outsource.
Yeah.
In fact, I outsourced to you a little bit.
We did.
I did that. But yeah, I remember I outsourced content creation and I outsourced digital advertising through Google Ad Grant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. I outsourced almost all of it. Like working at a Fortune 50 brand, we still outsourced.
Are we allowed to say what brand?
Yeah, we can say it. I'm just not going to put it like massively on the website. Okay. I got some like NDAs and stuff. And they're pretty hardcore about, you'll see even like the agencies that they work with, sidetrack, the agencies they work with are not allowed to put their brand as a company they work for, even as a case study. So if you were to go to, I'm not even going to mention the agencies, but if you were to go to them, they're not going to mention their brand's the name, and that name is UPS.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So if a marketing company uses or works for UPS, say, I'm going to make up, this is not an agency that's done it, but say Wyden and Kennedy, just a big, big agency.
Yep.
Say Wyden and Kennedy does an ad for UPS, which I think they may have done an ad for UPS in the past. They can't post a case study?
They're not going to mention the name UPS.
Wow.
So, like, if you go to case studies on their website, and what will it say? It will say a Fortune 50 logistics brand. It won't say the name UPS.
Why? I'm just curious.
It's in the. It's just a contractual thing.
I did not know that. So
brand protection is a big deal because they're a conservative company and they're not going to just put their brand because they lose control over their brand as people start to. So here's another little tip. If you see the UPS logo or brand somewhere on a company site, they did not get approval for that. And you may probably even second guess, did they actually work with UPS? Because if they did work with UPS, they would know not to do that.
I did not know that.
Sidetracked.
That may be one of the things that we talk about because we have a list of pros and cons.
Yep.
A true list of pros and cons of meaningful ideas of why it's good to outsource and why it's not necessarily great to outsource. Control being one of them. I think control being one of them on our list, but that I had no idea about the UPS thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But going back to that, we outsourced a lot. We had the option and certainly discussed other, options of bringing it in-house.
Yeah.
At the time, I was running all of the search engine marketing for UPS, and we hired an outside company. But there was a point to say, hey, do we bring this in-house? Do we just hire people in-house to do it? And for reasons we're about to get into with pros and cons, we didn't. Even though it probably costed us more money to outsource.
Really?
It was more expensive to outsource. It's cheaper sometimes to bring it in at that level.
Yeah.
Right, at that level, these guys it's a lot more money, right? So, we talked about it, discussed it, and ultimately chose to outsource it for the pros and cons we're going to talk about. But the point is that we both have outsourced some portion for some reason.
Yes.
And so you want to talk about why someone should even contemplate outsourcing, or when they encounter that question, what is that question and what are they trying to solve for?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that will lead right well into pros and cons, because each one of us, and this is probably what you're thinking is like, why would I outsource? What is the benefit, and what am I risking to lose? In both of our situations, we had to navigate. Mm-hmm. What is the benefit, and what are we looking to lose? I would say I'll start off with when I was outsourcing. I worked at a church. I worked at a multi-campus church prior to jumping on the team here at Missio, and I was one of the marketing directors over there. And we had a team. We had a marketing team, and we had a creative team, combined about 13 people. But our team outsourced, and the team that I know still there, still outsources a good bit. Mm-hmm. Still outsources a good bit. And the major number one factor that we outsourced was time. That was our biggest tension. And probably still one of the biggest tensions is we didn't have time to personally do all of the things we needed to get done, wanted to get done, and time just continued to shrink when it was like, oh, I got called into these meetings, or like this thing blew up and I work here and I'm going to go help handle that. And so it felt like we never got the time to go do what we actually needed to get done. And so we had to outsource if we wanted to get it done.
Yep.
And fortunately, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Sometimes you have bad experiences, but overall, when you find a great team, company, freelancer, whatever it is, it works, and it solved a lot of problems.
So time is certainly attention, and you have to buy time one way or the other. And so then you say, do I insource or do I outsource? So that's time. I think another tension point is expertise.
Yeah. Is that why you guys outsourced at UPS?
Yeah. So, yeah, by and large, that was a big component of it. Because if you think about it, marketing changes so quickly. And if you want to be really, really good at something, then you have to buy expertise. But because marketing changes so frequently, it's really, really hard to always have expertise at the highest level in-house, knowing that marketing tactics going to change in a year or 2, 3 years. So expertise is one of them. The other part with UPS is expertise locally. So when I was running it internationally, it's 52 countries, I could technically insource and put someone in each of the countries or even in like districts, or I could hire someone who knew that market a lot better than even I knew what to hire for. So, what does Google and search engine marketing look like in Dubai? What does search engine marketing look like in China, right? When we look at Baidu, and I couldn't hire, I didn't even know what to look for in someone who knew that market. And
that makes sense.
Anyway, so expertise is a massive part because you want to get as much depth as possible in that, that subject matter. But knowing that probably is going to change in a couple of years. It's almost like TikTok. Do I go hire a TikTok expert? And how long does TikTok last? I don't know. I mean, maybe a couple of years, then it changes, and then it changes again. And expertise was a big part.
We should do an episode on TikTok or short form video or something like that.
That would be a great idea. We should do that.
If you guys want to see it, I think we'll do it.
That just created another episode.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I agree with the expertise. Actually, now that you say it, that probably is a second. that was definitely a second trigger for me as well. Cause when another thing that we outsourced was a lot of like digital advertising.
Yep.
Because when I was in my position, we had content creation like down. Content creation was no problem. We could shoot incredible videos. We could write copy. We could build websites. We can create social media content. We had that thing down. When it came to like advertising, cost per click, conversion rates, tracking metrics, ROI, all that. Is this ad good? I converted this person for $3. Is that bad? Is that good? Like all of those things. You're laughing because this is your expertise. But like when it came to digital advertising, we were like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
And that's like a very common thing where people, and there's tons of people online. If you go on like LinkedIn or YouTube or TikTok for any minute, there's tons of like 60-second videos where people are like, I'll teach you digital advertising in 60 seconds. It ain't true.
It's not.
This is hard.
Yeah.
This is hard. And honestly, anything is hard. Anything is hard. But digital marketing, whether it's content creation or digital advertising or building a website or whatever, for sure is just like any other skill that you have to go in the woodshed and you have to put in the work and you have to figure it out. So expertise, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Have to figure out, what am I not good at? Not how can I do it, but who can do it for me?
Yeah. I think a lot of times the tensions are different based on the size of the organization too, right?
Yep.
So a medium size organization,
80 to 100, 80 to 250, something.
Yeah, that organization has, they have a lot of different things to do, and they're not going to be a freaking expert at every single thing at that level. They just need to have sort of a more strategic project management approach, right? And that's their tension, is that it just needs to get done, right? Once you get to another level, medium-sized business or even an enterprise, your tension's different. It's like how I need to think about brand safety, and I don't have that in-house. There's no way I'm going to have the legal capacity to do that. And, integration with other platforms that I can't get as a single enterprise. But if I go to an agency, they have access to all this technology. So there's different things at different levels. So the larger, I'd say another pain point or tension at the larger level is access, is that you're getting access to different marketing and advertising opportunities that, and I'm speaking a lot more on media buying, but you get access to things that you can't get access to on your own. But because they pool, like if you have an agency that has, UPS, Google, Apple, Nike, all on their list, well, they can compile that media spend and get access to a bunch of stuff that you could, as a singular company, can do. Again, that's a totally different level. But I think access is another tension point that larger organizations and brands deal with.
Well, I think access unlocks a benefit that small, medium, and large organizations can get as a pro from outsourcing, which is scalability and flexibility. So having access to a freelancer, a company, at whatever scale your business is, allows you to be really, really flexible, because you may have seasons where you really need this thing, but then you need to pivot. Or you may have seasons where you really use that thing. Like, let's say you really use digital advertising. It grows your business, and you can continue to just use that company to scale with you, as opposed to hiring more people, which now you might bottleneck yourself in that, where it's like, okay, we started doing digital advertising, whatever it is. We started our spend. It grew our business. We went from 50 employees to 80 employees. Now we need more people in marketing. Well, you have scalability and flexibility, hopefully in outsourcing correctly. When you outsource correctly, you can scale with the company, and you can be super flexible with what you need from that company, which is really hard to do hiring internally, because now you have to find more people, hire more people, train more people, onboard more people, get them into your culture. They got to do all the
speed.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Speed. Speed is a thing. It allows you to be nimble or agile, no matter how big or small you are. And that's just really, really crucial in any growth strategy. You just have to be super agile.
For sure.
So that's definitely a pro that's
You want to jump into the pros and cons?
Oh man, we've been hitting them.
Yeah,
we've been hitting them.
I know. Well, we've talked about tension points. Let's list this thing out.
There's 4 pros.
Okay.
There's 4 pros, and we've hit a few of them.
Yeah.
We've hit a few of them. The pros are expertise, which we've talked about, cost savings, which we have not talked about, time, that was kind of one that I hit, and excellence. Did we hit excellence?
I'm looking at you doing your finger like this.
Oh, yeah.
For number 3.
Can't, I don't have agile fingers. Let's, I don't know why we're doing this. Let's hit cost savings, because I feel like something, I want to allude to the fact that for UPS, it was actually more expensive, but obviously you guys were solving a different pain point.
Yep. Money was not the issue.
Money was not the issue.
No.
And honestly, some people don't have. So when we were outsourcing, when I was working at the church, money was not our issue either. We didn't mind spending the money to get the right thing done in a certain time frame. So it wasn't an issue.
Right.
It genuinely was time, but a lot of the time, money is an issue.
Yep.
Cost savings is a thing. Can you save money outsourcing?
Yes, you can. And that's actually, it really depends on who you're outsourcing to.
That's true.
There's
different levels, right?
There's totally different levels.
Fiverr to freelancer to company to.
Yeah. There are different levels of outsourcing, and, every, option that you explore, to your point, if it's Upwork or freelance or marketer hire or, a company, an agency, a salute, whatever, software, there's different options. And every option solves its own pain point. And sometimes if the pain point is cost, there's an option for that. And so, you can certainly save money in outsourcing. Here's a few examples of how. When you work with a company as an example, so I'm not talking, you could think of it as a freelancer too, but specifically as a company, if you have 2 options, you have option A is to go hire 1 to 2 people internally for your marketing company. Depending on the job role, it's $60,000 to, $150,000, right? Depending on what it is, per person. And there's a lot of sit-down benefits,
insurance,
performance review.
Don't get me started on performance reviews.
Thinking HR.
Yeah.
But there is cost there, right? You have to pay additional taxes, and there's a bunch of stuff. Whereas when you partner with a company, you're getting a fractional amount of their expertise, but instead of getting 1 or 2 people, you can get 10 people. And because that's all you really need, a couple of dedicated expert hours for different things for your organization. You don't necessarily, because the alternative is to get Susie, who's a generalist, who's okay at a couple different things, or Susie's awesome at one thing but sucks at something totally different. And what you really need is expert level, subject matter expertise in different things, and you can get at a fraction of the cost because you're only buying X amount of time as opposed to someone's 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
So it can totally be cheaper. You can actually get an entire team for less than the cost of 1 staff member. Yeah. And so if that's the pain point, there it is certainly out there.
Yeah. And to hit that point just slightly further is, there are other tensions with hiring internally when, like, say you're trying to solve, I don't know, your website management or something, and you're like, I gotta hire for website management or something. I cannot tell you how many times I've navigated conversations with people who are like, yeah, we need this, like they need to manage the website, they build landing pages and all that stuff, but they don't have even 25 hours a week for them or 40 hours a week for them, but they fabricate. Oh, so now I'm actually going to hire a website manager person, and they're going to do our copywriting or, whatever.
Or AV tech.
Yeah, something. And they'll fabricate these made-up positions of, like, this content generalist or whatever. This person ends up doing 8 different things on staff When that person leaves, they're like, oh, I got to find somebody that can do these 8 different things. Right. And I'm like, bro,
because you fabricated them to begin with.
It's exactly right. When you should have just outsourced your website management and solved that problem instead of saying, okay, to solve this problem, I'll fit in these 6 other problems into one person because I need to hire a person. So to justify hiring a person. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You had one problem. Don't make up 8 more to solve. Solve the one problem. At least that's I don't know if that's been your experience. And that's not necessarily, at the one place I was at, but just seeing that across the board.
It's a lot. It's definitely a thing more so in churches. Probably more than businesses. Businesses have a little bit more of a, I would think, have a little bit more of a handle on it. But yeah, it's definitely a thing in the church world. I think the other part about cost is, we talked about, taxes and we talked about, benefits and all these things cost money. There's also an opportunity cost on, I knock the performance reviews, but managing people is a thing. Yeah. Because so-and-so is going to have a baby and she's going to be out for a long time, which is awesome. So-and-so is going to be sick, and we care for that person, but there's no backfill to that, right? And so then the work goes down. And so there are different things within HR costs that as a business owner, I see, and I'm like, gosh, could I just outsource that too?
Trying to outsource our HR right now.
Trying to outsource
Does anybody want to do these performance reviews for me or?
Oh man, we'll do a podcast on HR and culture later.
Golly. So
stay tuned for that. But
he fabricated 3 more podcasts out of this one. I love it.
So I think, so cost is certainly a thing. Did we hit the other 3?
This is great. We definitely hit expertise. We hit cost. We hit time. Let's tap on excellence for a second before we go to the cons.
Okay.
Because excellence is a thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Actually, one of my favorite, you guys will I'll reference him a million times on this podcast. I love Seth Godin. I love Seth Godin because somehow he could take like this big concept and boil it down really simply. And he talks about the idea of being on the hook. And he talks about the importance of putting yourself on the hook. And I think that ties perfectly into excellence because a lot of the times internally, guilty as charged, you'll let yourself off the hook because of other things that come up or this project pops in. So this project's slightly less important or you let the website slide a little bit. So now all the information's outdated or like you got to put out 20 pieces of content this week. And so you're like, oh, I got to get this done so I can make it to these meetings. You let yourself off the hook on a lot of things because of the internal pressure of being in the organization. That's not really an option for like us as a company. If somebody's outsourced content creation to us, there's no off the hook. Mm-mm. You are on the hook to deliver that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this person is not going to be happy with their product, which we don't deliver good results. They're not going to want to stay with us. We lose business. We lose the opportunity to make an impact in what we want to do. Off the hook is not an option for us.
No. It's a contractual deliverable.
200%. And whether we want to say that as a full-time employee or not, we become comfortable in our full-time employee positions, and we do let ourselves off the hook. Mm-hmm. And so I think that leads to excellence. Mm-hmm. I think that leads to the level of excellence that people hasn't put. Now, I'm not putting this on everybody. I'm not saying everybody does this, but, there's seasons and things like that where I think you'll sacrifice excellence to wear all the hats you have to wear. And honestly, we don't have that option.
No.
Like we just don't. We don't have an opportunity to say, well, let's just pump out this for this client and call it a day. We've never had that option.
I've heard one piece of good advice that I heard someone say is when you are an employee, treat your employer as your customer. And
that's good advice.
Snip
that for TikTok.
Snip it.
Snip it.
But the reason but their point of view was that if you think of them as a customer, you're there to serve it. You know, I as a you know, a partner to several organizations, we are there to serve them. Yeah. You know, we are on the hook to serve them. Yes, sir, right away. Well, here's, you know, it's a constant serving approach. When you are an employee to an organization, you should also have that mindset of serving the company, right, as a customer. And, you know, because that's a total different twist, because when you're just an employee and you don't have that mindset, you do get a little slack. Yeah. You know, you just like, I got a job. It's a job. Yeah. But on the other end, it's like, no, this is a contract. You are my customer. I'm here to serve. Yeah. Right? There's a relationship here.
It's great. That's a great way to look at it.
The expertise part, we tapped on it, but here's the point is when you get, there's, like I said, I'm just going to double tap it one more time. Two options when if you have a medium-sized organization, small, it doesn't matter, whatever the size is, you have two options. You get someone who's really, really good at one thing, to your point, and spread them out, and the other things are going to get, you know, run down. Or you hire a generalist, project manager type person, program manager, and they're not going to be great at anything. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. And that excellence level just drops.
Yeah. When your web person is writing your copy,
that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's not.
9 times out of 10.
Grammar issues. Your web,
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it is a real thing. How many times have you seen a social, like a Facebook or Instagram page ran by the tech guy?
Yeah. More times than I want to admit.
Yeah.
To be honest, when they're like, hey, you're in IT, you must understand social. And we're like, no.
Right. I've seen, I'm going to pick on churches for just a second, but this happens a lot, and my family was a part of it, was like, hey, you're in music ministry.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah, when you were leading worship.
Yeah, you're in music ministry. That means you're artistic and creative. Oh, so you probably are pretty good at, like, creating stuff and, like, writing and, like, all things arts.
Yeah.
We have this other artistic opportunity over here.
The coded opportunity.
For social media. And all of a sudden, you're leading worship and running the social media channel.
Yeah.
Right? And
if this hurts, we're so sorry.
I'm so sorry. We're there. This is because we've experienced
We've done this. We've both led worship
literally that
and
exact
Instagram.
Same scenario. Yeah. But I see it. I'm the worship and media arts pastor. Right. Well, media. Okay. Creative arts. Okay. So now you're doing music, and then you're doing drama, skits, and plays, and then media. Media's in your title, like social media.
Yeah.
Right. And then it gets kicked down the curve. Anyway, so you got one guy doing music, creative arts, dramas, Christmas plays, Easter productions, and social media.
Yeah.
And the excellence is just gonna not go well.
Yeah. So obviously there are points to where outsourcing into that excellence is going to be beneficial. And so those are our four pros.